What is up, guys, and welcome back into the Rams House. Thank you so much for stopping back into a brand new Rams House video. And let me know if you can hear me and see me fine, because I am not doing a normal YouTube live stream. It is through Streamlabs, so I want to make sure I sound fine, like if you guys can hear me or not. And I know that we got a lot of people in here right now in the comments, so I appreciate all of you guys. And we are going to be talking about Jacob Harris and how he has been kind of a stud guy that McVay is looking at, and McVay put him as, when the question was asked, the best rookie in this minicamp. All right, thank you. We got Peo time here. Thank you for saying we hear you. I appreciate that. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me, because setting this whole thing up has just been kind of weird to see. So yeah, I've been impressed to see what Jacob Harris has done in some of these clips, and I think this guy can fit perfectly into our offense. So we're going to be talking about him today. Um, let's see. Here we go. We got hello. If the Rams versus the Raiders would. That's sarcasm. All right, we got Bryant Simmons saying the best. Thank you, Payo Time. Looking good. I appreciate it. So yeah, I want to initially get your guys' thoughts on Jacob Harris, because mine, when I first saw they drafted him, I was like, oh, great. We got another receiver, which obviously he can be interchangeable to be in that tight end spot and kind of the wide receiver spot, which we could definitely see that for sure. My original thoughts when I saw this, I was like, oh no, is Cooper Kupp, is Robert Woods in danger of losing their job? But I know that now, with the way that the Rams are talking about it, they're not going to be using him where they're going to trade Woods or Kupp or anything like that. Harris is going to be just fine in this system, and I think he can be in so many different spots in this offense. But the main thing is he's going to be a dangerous weapon, because you combine that speed that he does have and the catching that he does have, and his route running is actually pretty good as well on to this offense that we've got with Stafford. I know Stafford loves to throw the deep balls and those jump balls to the bigger type of receivers or tight ends like that. We could definitely see Tyler Higbee in that role, and we can definitely see Jacob Harris in that role too. Let's see. Uh, I misspelled. Okay. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts in the comments about Jacob Harris, because mine, obviously, as I mentioned, I think he's got a good future with this team. I'm not sure how many reps we're going to get out of Jacob Harris this season, just because, we got so many skill players, so many playmakers, and stuff like that. And again, McVay just really does not like to put in rookies their first year, that just does not seem to be something that McVay likes, as you look at like a guy like Van Jefferson, who is a high pick, and they really did not play him that much last year, so I can see that too. Okay, we got Jacob Harris in here. We got Pale Time saying what he thinks about Jacob Harris. Jacob Harris, Jacob Harris, I think, has a super strong upside, but I don't see him having a huge role this year. I just think McVay likes to get the rooks into the system being a pro. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Pale Time, right there. McVay does not like to play with rookies, and I agree with you completely. I don't see a huge impact this year, simply because that's just kind of what McVay doesn't like to do. He does not like to just throw rookies out there, which I think actually is a really good thing that McVay does. I think that it's good that he doesn't like to throw guys in there and just see if he sinks or if he floats and swims and stuff like that. So I think that's a good thing for sure. But I think Jacob Harris definitely has some huge upside. I'm not sure if they're looking at him as being a guy like when Robert Woods leaves, which hurts my heart. But when Robert Woods leaves, like, will that be a guy that they want to put in there, or Cooper Kupp? Because I know Van Jefferson we're going to have for the long term. He is definitely a guy I see breaking out this year, and he's just going to have a good future with this Rams team. But we'll see, what he can do in this Rams offense this year. I definitely do see some packages with him involved this year, because McVay did say he was the most impressive rookie they've seen, and McVay did say, like, oh yeah, this is just OTA'S for sure, but I really liked what I saw from him. Yeah, then we got Pay Time here saying I wouldn't be shocked if he had like a big game versus the Jags or something like that. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I definitely see if the game is getting to the point, which I do see this in a lot of different games this year with our new offense or revamped team. If there are points in this game or in any of the games, like the Houston Texans games come to mind when we play the Texans, I think that we could get to a point where we're beaten by so much where we will see guys like Jacob Harris step in. We will test out his blocking, how he does in that blocking sense, because obviously there's not really been much contact so far with these OTAs. We don't know what he's like when there's actually tackling and when there is blocking involved. I think that he really can improve his blocking, and that can be a huge upside to this game because obviously the Rams like to use receivers to block and tight ends to block. And I think if he has that type of that skill trait to be able to block and receive, I think that's going to be very dangerous in this offense. And definitely, I see when we are having blowout games like the Jaguars, like the Texans, some of those games that come to mind, I definitely see Jacob Harris going in there. And we have to remember, like I mentioned earlier, Sean McVay was raving about Van Jefferson when they drafted him. He's still raving about him now. And so he already loved Van Jefferson. He was raving about all the things he could do, the different positions and different types of areas he could play on the field, and different he can run the whole route tree. And so when I heard that, and I'm sure when a lot of you guys heard that, we were excited to see, what Van Jefferson could do. And then he did not get played that much just because, again, McVay does not like to throw his guys out there. He likes to give them a whole year, redshirt year, to learn the playbook, learn some more techniques with these veteran guys. So I could see that with Jacob Harris, but I'm very encouraged to be hearing that Jacob Harris is one of the most impressive rookies that McVay's seen so far. I'm definitely really excited to hear that because I definitely see an upside with Stafford, and Stafford loving to throw to those bigger guys for sure. And there's so many things I think Jacob Harris can do in the system. So I'm very excited to see him. I definitely think there's going to be packages in there that we will see. And I even wouldn't put it out of I would not put it out of McVay, and I wouldn't completely seeing this. I could definitely see this happening, is what I'm trying to say, where there's some packages with Wolford and like kind of like a Taysom Hill thing. We could see some of that with Wolford in there and Jacob Harris in there. Not sure if we'll see too much of that, but definitely we are going to see some snaps dedicated to Jacob Harris this year. Can't wait for the season to start. Me too, man. Let's see what some of these. Payo Time says he has 4.39 speed at a 6'5" and 219 pounds. Yeah, that speed is actually scary for that how much weight and mass he really is. I think having a guy who can really go up, he can run some deep routes for sure. And then if Stafford's like, okay, I'm gonna throw this one up, which he does, he loves to throw it up, be aggressive, be even risky sometimes. I think definitely I could see that happening where, okay, nobody's open, we need a big play, let's throw it up to Jacob Harris. And definitely in the future I could see that happening a lot more as well. So let's see. What would Harris have to do to get a drawing on your wall? I mean, I think the thing for me is the drawing takes so much time, PO time, where it's not about a player not being worthy enough. It just takes so much time, and I like to interchange them out. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what Jacob Harris can do for sure. Can't wait for the season to start. Oh, yeah, man, I can't wait to see him too. Let's see what Old Man Ghost says here. If he is ready to be a starter, or if he is ready to be a starter, but I definitely think he is good enough to be a rotation and get a bunch of snaps. Oh yeah, that's what I see out of him. Old Man Goes for sure. This year is going to be the year where he really gets acclimated. A lot of guys, I think what I've taken from this when I see rookies talking about McVay's system is that it is very complicated and it's definitely a lot different to learn than in the college, which you could say that about any NFL offense coming from the college, that is more complicated. But from what a lot of rookies are saying, he's like, man, this is a big thing to get your head around. And I think it is really healthy for players to, develop a little bit more their first year, which I definitely see happening with Harris. But again, I definitely can see a handful of snaps coming from Jacob Harris. We saw Cam Akers coming on at the end of the year, and then they really started using him more. That could be the same thing. And who knows if I know he is a wide receiver, tight end, hybrid type of guy. But who knows if we see him coming in for Tyler Higbee's spot every now and then when Higbee needs a break. I see it a big role for him in the future for sure. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts on Jacob Harris. I'm stoked to be hearing that the Rams coaching staff, including McVay, is hyped about him and what they've seen so far, and even some things where the Rams were live talking about the OTA'S and how they've gone. I think it was Thursday or Friday, something like that. When they were talking about that, Harris was still there working in the back. He was one of the only guys still there, and that shows his work ethic a lot. And I always like to see that in a guy. And Rams players too, I feel like have a lot of that work ethic, and that's cool to see. But again, I don't want to get overhyped on Jacob Harris because, this is not to knock Goff or the Lions or anything, but apparently Goff is lighting it up in OTAs with the Lions, and I can definitely see that because chip on the shoulder Goff is definitely very hard to play against. He can be just one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he has a chip on his shoulder and when he wants to prove people wrong. But we hear that Goff is lighting it up. We hear a bunch of these different players. I think, like McVay said, you really get to know how good a player is when the contact is on, when they're in full practice mode or preseason, and then into the regular season. So it's going to be interesting to see how the story progresses with Jacob Harris in the future. But I definitely like his physical traits and what he can do on this Rams team. Let's see. Rather stick with Harris than trade for Julio in our cap situation. Oh yeah, let's talk about Julio. Great, that's a great point, fail time, because I did not want to get Julio Jones at all. Like, nothing in me wanted him. Yeah, luxury player for sure. But our wide receiver group is plenty set with Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, Deshaun Jackson, Jacob Harris, Ben Skoranek. Like, we got so many guys in this system. And yeah, I definitely take Jacob Harris over Julio. And, I was very excited to see when Julio Jones was traded today. I was like, I was going through the, like, with the NFL news and stuff like that. I was looking and I saw Julio Jones gets traded too, and I was like, oh no, please don't, because I was expecting the 49ers or the Seahawks or something like that. And when I saw the Titans, I was like, yes, let's go. Like, I was I was pumped for that because I had not only liked the Titans a little bit. I know I got a Titans fan subscribed here, but I just did not want him going to the NFC West. I'm so glad he did not go to this NFC West. I'm so glad he didn't join our team or anything like that. I'm I'm over the moon that that's where Julio went. I'm glad that he's going to a team that knows how to win. Obviously, I saw this earlier today. We do have to play the Titans, and that's going to be a good game. I think now that they got Julio and Derrick Henry. But what I was bringing up to a lot of people is we won't have to play Julio twice a year. We rarely will have to play him because he's in the AFC. But also, when it comes time to play them, yeah, Henry's going to be a problem. But we saw Julio was kind of shut down when the Rams just traded for Ramsey. I think Ramsey can do that again. You put a guy like, I don't know, Darius Williams on John Brown, or put a guy like Robert Rochelle, who I'm high on, to go on him because he's a physical guy. I could definitely see that working out too. So I was happy he went to the Titans. Not sure how all you guys think, but I think that I was just happy to see him go in the AFC and not the NFC West. Please no more skill players in the NFC West. Like, we got enough. I think we're good for right now. But yeah, I was excited when Julio went to the Titans for sure. And again, I take Jacob Harris over Julio because not because I think Jacob Harris is better at this point, but because Jacob Harris obviously is getting those rave reviews right now from the Rams. But I think that since our wide receiver core is so set that having a guy like Jacob Harris, you might not see him a lot in the first 2 years, but that's only because our receiving core and our tight end core is so deep. And I definitely do see some packages where you could see there's so many different packages you could see from the Rams this year because of all their different types of receivers they got. And I could definitely see some packages that are more heavier. I definitely see Jacob Harris being a guy who can run block really well too. So I think that he has so much upside to him. Definitely take him over Julio, not because of talent, but what I mentioned. We have a deep receiving core. I think we're plenty set. And again, for a guy like Jacob Harris to be a backup, like a third or fourth string, that just tells you how good this receiving core is. So I'm excited to see what this core can do. And I'm honestly just excited overall to see how Mcvay puts all these pieces together and makes it work in this offense, because we obviously have seen what this offense can do when they were on that Super Bowl run. And that was a completely different type of offense. Now we got these guys coming in here. We got Stafford. We still got Robert Woods and Kupp from that Super Bowl run. Cam Akers, different type of back. I love that man. And then Van Jefferson, who I'm very high on. And then when you get these guys that are speed guys like Deshaun Jackson and Tutu Atwell, it's just going to be so interesting to see how this offense gels and mixes and how McVay really uses all their skill traits, because I'm definitely going to see some plays, and I'm looking forward to seeing some plays that McVay draws up for specific players and specific personnel with bigger guys, faster guys, or mixing some of them together. I think just, again, McVay's playground. I definitely think that is going to be very fun to watch. Let's see. Let's see what this guy says. I expect Harris to be good, but Higbee will stand out this season, especially because the Stafford edition. Oh yeah, for sure. I think that Higbee definitely will get more reps, and he will be more noticed this year, because again, McVay just does not like to play those rookies a lot. I can't say that enough. I know that that's kind of what McVay likes to do, unless they're in a pinch where they need to play the rookies. He just really does not do it that much. And yeah, I think that Higbee is going to have a bigger role. And I think overall, with this Stafford edition that the Rams got, I think overall this team got better. And all the receivers, tight ends, running back, the whole team is getting an upgrade. And the whole team's going to have, I believe, one of their best seasons. And each player is going to be benefited in different ways. But it's only because that we got a good defense already. We've had that for years. But getting a guy who's so elite like Matthew Stafford, who can fit it in those tight windows, who can be aggressive, that's just going to help this whole team just as a whole, the whole wide receiver group and the whole running back group. I definitely see Higbee standing out this year. I think last year, most of the year at least, he was dealing with those injury problems. I noticed that he had that brace on his elbow and arm for most of the season, really, and he was kind of in and out in different plays. And I know he was not in as much as he was in years past. So, yeah, I think the world's going to know what Higbee can do. I think the world's going to know what this whole offense, what Mcvay can do, and just all these guys who have been severely underrated, they're going to get noticed more this year. And I think that Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods duo is going to be really fun to watch, and then having some speed guys back on that offense. And I think Jacob Harris definitely, I think he's going to go more under the radar this year because, again, they just don't get played much. This receiver group is deep. We're going to have to see how they use them. And again, I know there's going to be a ton of different packages McVay puts together for this offense because you got so many different types. You got fast guys, you got some versatile guys, you got some footwork guys, catchers, and then Jacob Harris who can go up and get it, who's a bigger guy, who is fast for how big he is. And I think he's one of those guys that if you put a linebacker on him, they're going to be in trouble because he can pluck the ball out of the air. He's got that speed. He's got that power as well. So he really excites me. And again, just to see how McVay puts this whole offense together, how he's going to make all of this team really gel together, I think that's going to be fun to watch. And I think McVay's going to be tempted to even be passing in the fourth quarter when we got big leads, but he's going to know to give it to the back cam makers. But again, like Payo Time brought up earlier, I definitely think with just how good Jacob Harris is, you're going to see him in those games that we're blowing out, like the Texans. I expect to be a blowout. Jaguars potentially, but I do think they have some upside to them, where you could really see Jacob Harris shine because McVay wants to put him out there. He wants to show the world how good he is. And again, just we heard rave reviews about Van Jefferson last year, but he did not get a whole lot of playing time because that's just the way McVay does it. So yeah, let's see some of these comments here. We got Johnny Ripple here. He comes into a lot of the streams, so I appreciate you, Johnny. He says, Harris could end up being a steal of this entire draft. Oh, yeah, and I've already placed my steal of the whole draft as Chris Garrett. I've already placed that. Who knows how he's going to work out? I think he's going to work out good. I think the Rams actually still a lot of players in this draft for sure. Jacob Harris, one of those guys I'm excited for. I wasn't initially because I was like, man, we're getting another receiver. But okay, now you're seeing what McVay's doing. He's adding all these different types of body types and adding all these different types of players who can do different types of things in this offense. And giving Stafford more weapons is just really important that he does. And I think that's kind of cool to see that Stafford succeeded. And yeah, maybe the record didn't reflect that, but it was because he was having to come back all the time and stuff like that. Stafford succeeded really well with some guys who were not known, like Quintez Cephas. And yeah, you had Kenny Galladay, you had Calvin Johnson, and then he made Marvin Jones into a really good player too. And now Marvin Jones, he got a good contract with Jacksonville. So I think the really exciting thing for me is to see that Stafford did well with a team that was not altogether well and filled out and didn't have the best receivers overall as a good receiver group. And then you see McVay, who's giving Stafford tons of different receivers, tons of different weapons, and different guys who can do it that they've been building over these years. So I am definitely excited to see what happens with there. But yeah, I agree with you, Johnny Ripple. We got this guy coming in here. Harris will be a big threat in our tight ends. That he has a big body with speed and can catch everything that comes his way. Yeah, completely agree with you, man. That's a great point. He's got that speed, which again, I think that's really scary to play. Anybody who's fast but also big and can get those catches, he is going to be a threat to that tight end room. I think guys like Johnny Mundt and Bryson Hopkins are going to have some really good competition this year for that tight end 2 spot, because we saw Gerald Everett leave. But again, there are going to be some sets, I believe, where, yeah, he's going to be a tight end for sure. He's going to be a good blocking guy too for those run lanes to develop and open up. But I also think on the flip side, he's going to be good with those wide receiver sets. He's going to be put in as wide receiver because that's also how he was used in college, and he succeeded in that. And again, giving Stafford a guy who he likes, and I think Stafford was really pushing for this guy because he was that type of receiver he likes. He likes the bigger body guys who can go up and get it and who can be aggressive, who he can trust to throw down the field to. Which, by the way, guys, we're going to see a lot of that this year. We're going to see a lot of aggressive plays where Stafford's going to trust the guy on the other end, being the receiver. And yeah, I see a lot of plays like that from definitely Jacob Harris in the near future. But I'm not sure how much we're going to see this year again. We'll see how much Stafford play or how much Mcvay puts him out there. But there's just so much upside to him. And I think, yeah, just like you said, a big body guy with speed who you can trust to catches everything, has a big catch radius as well. I think that's a threat to any team, any defense. So again, excited to see how he fits into this offense because we're deep at so many positions. And I think if he's beating out guys who have been proven in this offense, man, that's going to show you how scary this guy can be. And Mcvay, already having faith in him, already having his back in OTA'S, seeing what he can do. I think we're really going to get to know the player, like I said earlier, when he's in the pads, when they're doing those tackling practices, those training camps, and even seeing him into the preseason. I think we're going to really get to know the player in preseason. I know Wolford's going to be throwing the ball in preseason because there's no way they put Stafford out there, but you're really going to get to know the type of player that Jacob Harris is when he has those pads on. Let's see here. This is what Paywall Time says. Jacob Harris really played wide receiver at Central Florida, and it was probably our number 1 ranked special teamer in terms of coverage. Okay, so it looks like that was a quote. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Paywall Time, or if somebody said that, it looks like you're saying it was a quote. But yeah, I think he's a good special teamer too. That's one thing I did not even bring up yet, and I know Jake Funk is supposed to be used as a special teamer too. You could see some running back snaps out of him, but I do think the Rams were thinking of special teams because they're really improving that, and I want to touch on that. I think Joe DeCamillis is going to be an amazing special teams coach here, and last year our special teams was abysmal. So yeah, I do think that Jacob Harris is going to be used in that special teams, as they mentioned, and Jake Funk and Joe DeCamillis, I think, is a good guy to help develop those guys. And since they're already good at that special teams thing, I think that's going to be really good for our special teams because there were some games that we either lost or we almost lost because of special teams. So completely agree with you. Jacob Harris definitely can be used in that way as well. So excited to see all these different things that Jacob Harris brings to the table as well. Let's see. Paywall Time also says, but he's a fast guy that we project could go to tight end and just an interesting weapon based on special teams and things like that. Snead said, okay, yeah, so Les Snead said that. I agree with Les Snead right there. I think, again, getting a guy who's a big body and who can go up and get those balls. Again, if you guys have not watched Stafford highlights or just plays that he made or any games last year, I recommend you do that to learn the type of player he is. I've already touched on a lot of the things he's good at, but there are those situations where, like Kenny Galladay, I know he's not like the biggest receiver, but he would throw it up there and the guy would come down. A better example, I think, would be TJ Hawkinson, who is really an up-and-coming tight end in this league. And I think what he could do when Stafford could just trust him, throw it up there when the play was broken, or, you just trust your player to come down with it. I think that's exactly what Jacob Harris fits in this. It's just going to be interesting to see where Mcvay plants him in the system for sure, because there's a lot of different playmakers that can take that spot. There's definitely, I think the good thing about the Rams is that at this position, like wide receiver, tight end, pretty much all the positions on the offense, you're going to have to compete to get your spot because this is a deep group. And I think having to compete really hard for your job, even guys like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods having to do that, that just makes you so much better because you're always trying to fight for that number 1, number 2, whatever you're fighting for to get that spot. And that just helps the player to get even better. So, yeah, that's going to be fun to see what it's like, how far you can get, where they're going to put them in. Definitely. Let's see. we got him saying hopefully we see more Hecker fake punts. Our special teams was one of our weak points last year. Oh yeah, and that is something that Jody Camillus was saying, and that's what got me excited about him too. Is the fake punts are coming back, and I don't know if our special teams coach said that last year. Not sure, but I think that we really gotta utilize Johnny Hecker because he was such a good fake punt guy, and I think I was always excited. And I think teams are always worried, and likewise, like they're supposed to be worried, but whenever you have to worry about Johnny Hecker's fakes because he's great at those fakes, I think something that was really cool about John Fossil too when he was with us was he was good with finding the guys who could return the ball really well, like Farrell Cooper, and finding the right play sets to be able to, block and make sure that there's lanes opened up. So yeah, Jacob Harris is going to be one of those guys I think too that are helping with those blocks, helping with those special types of kick returns. And yeah, Johnny Hecker I think is going to get back into his fake punt days for sure. And I think he wanted to a lot last year, but we had none of them. Let's see. Old Man Ghost says, we do have the talent to dominate all the way to the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, completely agree with you. We got an amazing offense, obviously stacked offense everywhere you look, and I think a lot of people look at the offensive line as being a weak point. And yeah, I would say that's the weakest point, just because of all the talent we got. But I don't think they're going to do bad at all. I think they're going to play like they did last year, or if not better. And adding a guy like Jacob Harris, who Sean McVay obviously raved about. I'm excited to see how he fits in the system. I think he's going to contribute a lot to this team too, and bring some of these traits that we really don't have at the wide receiver or tight end position that are going to be fun. Because obviously we do have Higbee, who's a bigger body guy who can catch it. But I think Higbee lacks that speed that Jacob Harris has. And that's not a problem. It's just Jacob Harris is going to have some other things and other things we can put in there that's going to really help. So I'm excited to see what he does. But yeah, I definitely think we have all the talent to go to the Super Bowl for sure. I think this is one of our biggest Super Bowl years that I'm expecting. Like usually every year I expect success from this team because, in the McVay era, that's just all we get. I think we're really spoiled with that. Like we get success all the time. But this is the year that I'm like hyped up. I think we can definitely go all the way to the Super Bowl for sure. Payo Time says, let's see. He says, if I have a bad day, I watch Stafford highlights and the Rams Chiefs game from Monday Night Football to cheer me up. Yeah, that's a great way to cheer yourself up. I know that the Rams versus Chiefs game, Monday Night Football, 54-51. Yes, I still know the score. That was definitely my favorite game to watch, and there was just so many things about it that made it special. And I still think it's funny. The Chiefs still have not beaten us in the Patrick Mahomes era. They still have not beaten us Rams, not even in the preseason, not in the regular season. So yeah, Payo Time, you definitely should suggest that to other Rams fans. When you're feeling down, watch some Stafford highlights. Watch that Rams versus Chiefs Monday Night Football game. I'm right with you, man. I love that game a lot. And yeah, excited to see what Jacob Harris does. Excited to see what Matthew Stafford does for sure. Let's see. Shot by Nolan says, "What up, fam? How's it going, Shot by Nolan? Hopefully you're having a great day." And we got Jay in the Bay here. What's good, Rams House? What's good, Jay in the Bay? How you doing? I think you're planning on having a stream later today. And yeah, this NFC West is going to be scary. And I think that a guy like Jacob Harris will get overlooked this year for sure, because he probably won't get too many reps. There are going to be some plays where he's in there. But I don't think somebody has said in the comments Gerald Everett 2.0. I don't think he's a Gerald Everett 2.0. I think he's a guy. Yeah, he's got the speed. Gerald Everett. One thing I did like about him when he was with us was that he had that ability to make people miss really well. And at the tight end position, that's obviously really important. And you don't see it that much. But I think Jacob Harris just brings that speed and going up to catch the ball. I don't need him to be able to make guys miss left and right. Obviously, that would be fun. And Jacob Harris could get better at that, but we already got guys who can make people miss and can run after the catch. And if you guys don't know, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, those are the guys. And then now having Deshaun Jackson and Tutu Atwell, who got that speed, and I think that's just going to be a nasty combo to play. So definitely going to be a competitive NFC West. Let's see. We got King Ben in here. He says, Rams are good at picking underrated players on the draft. Let's go. I'm also excited to see how the rookies and second string guys step up after losing a lot of players in free agency. Oh yeah, for sure. They're great at drafting these underrated guys and really unknown guys that people really don't look at too much. And I know pretty much all the players that the Rams drafted this year, besides Tutu Atwell, I didn't know. And then now I'm pumped up for them. That's just what the Rams seem to do. It's the same system every year. It's like they draft a guy. I'm like, who's that? Why did they draft him? And then, okay, they prove us wrong. Obviously, I was excited for Cam Akers and I was excited for Van Jefferson last year. And luckily, those guys have been just what I expected and more. And we're going to see more of them this year. And then, yeah, I don't think we lose too many. We lost too many guys in the free agency for sure. We lost John Johnson, who was a big guy to lose, but I think Jordan Fuller is going to be a guy who steps in there, and he's really taking in a lot of the information. He seems ready to take that spot. Yeah, for sure with that. And then Michael Brockers, I think that's just a big leader guy that we lost, and that could hurt. But I think we have the talent to be able to overcome that, and I think the talent really matters. But obviously, the morale of the team is going to help. But yeah, excited to see how our guys step up as well. And I think these rookies, I'm always excited to see how the rookies play, like Jacob Harris, who brings so many different traits here. Um, let's see, we got a lot of chatting in here. Why did the Falcons choose the Titans when they only gave up Falcon draft picks? Yeah, I think that the Falcons at the end they were just wanting to get Julio out of the building. Like obviously you want that talent, but at that point you already lost. Like after Julio saying I'm out of there, I think they already lost that morale and that all hope was lost with there. And I think they knew that Julio just wanted to get out of there, obviously. So I think they chose a team that obviously it may not be like the most scariest, like not giving it to an NFC West team, but they also chose a team that went to a different conference, completely different conference. They won't have to worry about him too much. So that's my view on it. But yeah, I do think that the Titans definitely kind of stole him. Like there wasn't that much. I thought they would have to give up more for that. I thought every team would, but it is what it is. Let's see. Just enjoying Rams House live stream and playing Madden. Yep, that's the right way to do it. Play Madden while listening to live streams. I do it all the time, man. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts now because I've pretty much laid out all that I have to say about Jacob Harris in this 32 minutes. About what do you think about Jacob Harris? Like, what do you think he's going to bring to the table, and how much do you think the Rams are going to play him? Stuff like that. Like, I want to hear from you guys because this is fun. The fun or the most fun streams are when you guys interact. When I get to see what your thoughts are. I'm definitely excited for Jacob Harris just because of he's one of those guys we drafted that goes to the Rams that we really did not have a guy unique like this. Like we did not have a guy in our team that was like this. I think the closest guy was Tyler Higbee, but Higbee doesn't have that speed, and I think Higbee's not the best for those jump balls for sure. And just seeing what he's going to be able to do in this offense, seeing where they put him, I always think it's fun to watch the rookies play and make an impact. That's definitely what I think this year as well. So I want to know what you think. True UDFAs are their special. Yeah, I think that the Rams just have a special talent at finding guys like UDFAs. I think Darius Williams was a UDFA. I'm not sure, but yeah, he stepped up in a big way. I think the Rams are just just one of those rare teams that really just finds hidden gems every single year, and that's how we can trade those first round picks and trade those picks and then acquire some good players too. Because I think getting guys like Jalen Ramsey and Matthew Stafford, people like that who are the big names, you have to be able to find guys who are not expensive and that can step it up. And yeah, the Rams have a true knack for that. And I think their system, as long as they can keep finding those guys who are really unknown and they don't even have to be known, but that follow them and make them work really well in the system. And obviously when you have guys like Ramsey and you got all this veteran talent all around the board, I think that really helps the Rams. And yeah, the UDFAs for sure help. And the Rams are just one of those unique teams. And I think a guy like Jacob Harris that they got, who's got really unique traits. He really was not too known, but he played in some of the bigger leagues in the college. I think getting a guy like him who has some of the unique traits, and again, for me, initially I was like, why did we get him? But now it all makes sense. Like, the Rams just are great at doing that. And I was worried that with that, when they lost Brad Holmes, they wouldn't be able to do that. But they still are pumping out players. Obviously, we have to see how this class does. Not sure if we'll see a ton of playing time this year, but I think they draft a lot for the future. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. And let's see. What's up, Horn Headlines? How you doing? Let's see. Pale Time says, one concern I have for Harris and all the Rams rookies is that because they won't get as many snaps as Woods or Kupp, they may turn into a Josh Reynolds situation, but I hope that doesn't happen. Oh, yeah, that's a good concern to have, definitely. But I think that grooming players over time, as long as you do it the right way, I think it's going to work out. And I think Josh Reynolds, to me, I was never that high on him. And the way the Rams drafted Josh Reynolds and why they drafted Josh Reynolds, they were saying was because they wanted a guy who could be a jump ball guy, which obviously now we got. We have a lot of good receivers who could do that. Now I think Jacob Harris can do that really well too. But they wanted to get that guy who could take the top off the defense, and they wanted to get a guy who could do a jump ball on it. And I think that was the situation with Josh Reynolds. I was just never all that high on him when they got him. And so, yeah, that's definitely a good concern. But I think the Rams have gotten really accustomed, and they've gotten really well at just getting those guys built up, and they're getting those guys to progress enough in a healthy way where they aren't taking up too much from them. And I think usually the Rams formula is to get them and then have a redshirt year their first year, maybe put them in a few different players. It just depends on the players they are, and then release them the next year. Or, we saw that with Sebastian Joseph Day. He did not get a lot of playing time for a while, especially because Michael Barkers was there. But they did insert him in a few different plays. And then over time, now he's going to be in that spot where he gets to help lead that Rams D-line with Aaron Donald. And now he's ready. So, yeah, that's a good concern, but I'm not too worried because the Rams have been doing this for a long time. And I never really was high on Josh Reynolds. Jay in the Bay says trade Julio to an AFC team. Oh, they wanted to trade Julio to an AFC team. Yep, completely agree with you. Falcons wanted to get him out of the conference, and I'm all for that. Like, we aren't in the AFC, and I'm happy they didn't go to the NFC West. Jay in the Bay, if you're still in here, were you mad that he didn't go to the 49ers, or were you happy? Because I know for me, it sounds weird, but I did not want the Rams to trade for him at all because we just had enough. We had enough deep players. This wide receiver group was really deep. We didn't need to take a cap hit at all either. But were you sad when he wasn't traded, or were you kind of happy because you guys have some players to be able to step up? Because I know there's 50-50 for the Rams. Again, he's a luxury, but I did not want him. So what were your thoughts when he went to the Titans? Let's see. Shot by Nolan. You said it perfect. Or the perfect word for his skill, unique. Oh yeah, he is definitely one of the unique players to be able to have that size and that speed, and then also be able to go up and catch it. He actually runs the route tree pretty well for being in that position. I think he runs it one of the best that I saw for like hybrid tight end. Obviously, there's not too many hybrid tight ends in the league, but yeah, I think that he is definitely a very unique player, and I think the Rams saying that he is working hard and that Mcvay is the most impressed with him so far, I think that just speaks volumes about what the type of player he is. And yeah, Nolan, definitely he is a very unique player, and I'm excited to see what he can do with the Rams. And again, first year, not sure how much we're going to see from him, but I think he's going to be a major Stafford weapon in the future because of that size and what he brings to the table. Okay, we got a lot of guys in here. Your thoughts on Raheem Morris? I want to believe we can be a top defense, but I'm not too sure yet. Great question there, King Ben. I'm excited about Raheem Morris because when you have guys like Aubrey Pleasant or Brad Holmes who are ready to step up to that defensive coordinator position, and they have been for many years on this Rams team, and you pass them up for a guy who Mcvay knows he's been with him, that could be a reason why, because he knows what type of guy he is. I think something that's really cool about Morris is he's got that fire energy. He's one of those guys that he's like, man, it's not like Staley didn't have energy, but this guy has all the energy in the world to pump you up. And they were saying he grades players, even like Aaron Donald, if he sees them do something wrong, he shouts them out. He tells him to get better at that. And he just wants the defense to get better as a whole, and he brings that energy. And again, passing on guys like Holmes and Aubrey Pleasant who have been there, who are perfectly capable to step up for it. I'm excited for Raheem Morris. I think definitely a top 10 defense. I project us to be probably at worst seventh, but I would say from a 4 to 7 spot, because when you have guys like Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, and guys and Darius Williams too, who have proven that they can step up, that just helps any DC out. And the Rams trust what Raheem Morris can do. And again, that energy is really fun to me. Like, it excites me whenever a guy has that much energy, because it gets you hyped up as the players, and it makes you really believe that you can do this thing, win a Super Bowl, be a number one defense. I don't project a number one defense, but I definitely project us to be an elite one for sure. And I'm excited for what Raheem Morris can do. Um, yeah, let's see what he says. Here we go. I think Jacob Harris will be unguardable against the linebackers. Oh yeah, I think he's going to be one of those guys who is going to be difficult to guard for cornerbacks or safeties. And even safeties, I would give them prayers, when he's going up there against a safety, one-on-one and a safety, to be able to stop it. Because Jacob Harris, he's got that skill again to plug it out of the air, which obviously, as I've mentioned, Stafford loves that. But he's also got that ability to burn some guys with that speed that he's got. And having a big body receiver on a linebacker, yeah, he'd definitely be unguardable. And I would love to see that all day, especially because Jacob Harris is not going to be one of those guys who is extremely known the first few years, I think, because of the depth that we got. So people are going to be putting probably like their third string cornerback on him, or guys who aren't the best on the defense. And then it's just going to be difficult to choose who you want to guard, because Jacob Harris is going to bring so much to this table. Let's see. Let's keep scrolling here. Do you think that the Rams will have the best defense and offense? I think they're going to have the best offense. As I said, I don't think best defense, because, some of those plays that we lost are definitely big, but it's also something you have to keep in mind is that it's really hard to go number one defense 2 years straight. And so I don't see number one. Like I mentioned, I think we're going to be fourth at best, and somewhere between fourth and seventh, maybe eighth at worst. But don't think number one, but we're not falling off the cliff. I think we're definitely going to be inside the top 10 defenses in the league, but not number one. It's just really hard to do. Totally Not Jay says Josh Reynolds put up some pretty decent stats last year. Yeah, he did. He did have some decent stats in there, but the Rams wanted him to do a little bit more than I think he did. Yeah, he definitely did some decent things, and I think in that playoff game against the Packers, I hate to bring that up because we got some painful memories from that, but against the Packers, he was actually doing pretty well with Jared Goff, nine-finger Jared Goff, and he had some plays that were some big plays. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does with the Titans, but I think it's going to be a similar situation to what it was with the Rams, where the Rams had Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp as their number one guys, and then Van Jefferson fighting for that third spot. And now you got Julio Jones, John Brown, and then you're going to have to be the third wide receiver again on that team, and potentially fourth. So I see around the same stat projections for Josh Reynolds, just because it's almost the same situation. And obviously the Titans love to run the ball, so yeah, we'll see how he does on the Titans. But I don't think that the Rams are very pleased with what they got out of Josh Reynolds. I think he was kind of a good bridge number 3 receiver, but they wanted him to be a lot more with those jump balls and going up to take the top off the defense too. So he was also the fastest Ram last year, which speaks volumes about how much they needed speed, because Reynolds was not the fastest guy. I think a play that I will always remember, and when he's not on the Rams like right now, and I think a lot of people will remember, was that 49ers one where he just absolutely mossed the guy in the end zone. Obviously, we lost that 49ers game. Like, we lost both of them. But I think that's going to be a player I remember, Josh Reynolds. That's going to be one of the plays that I remember him by. But not sure what he will do with those Titans. Let's see. Will we get our black and blue alternate jerseys this season? I don't see that happening again. I expect an all yellow uniform with blue numbers, blue stripes, stuff like that. And that would look pretty good on Jacob Harris, I would say, and all these Rams for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Shot by Nolan says Josh Reynolds was decent, but I'm definitely excited to see what this receiver group does right now, and to see what Jacob Harris does. Again, I think one of the most intriguing things that I'm going to be watching is once again how McVay uses all these different players and skill sets at once. You got so many different players that you can utilize, and I think it's just going to come down to so many different sets and packages that you got, because you want to utilize all the talent you got. And I think combining a guy, let's just bring up a guy like Cooper Kupp, who's a great route runner. He's definitely great at catching. But also having a guy like Deshaun Jackson or Cooper Kupp, or Deshaun Jackson or Tutu Atwell, who's got the speed, and then putting Jacob Harris in there for a big guy. And, there could be a lot of packages like that where there's just different skill traits out there, or it could be a bunch of fast guys on one set or something. It's just going to be interesting to see how they put Jacob Harris in here and all these other guys. Let's see. Like, we got him saying, when you post, I always watch. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Payo Time says, I got to go enjoy the rest of the live stream. Bye, Ramley. Hit the like button. Thank you so much, Payo Time. Let's see. Orange Fat says comparisons. Okay, if you're meaning to Jacob Harris, it's very hard to compare because, again, like I mentioned earlier, this guy is unique. Like, I think all the skill traits that he possesses is very unique. So that's definitely hard to compare to. I think a guy, let me think for a second. A guy like Gronk is a guy that comes to my mind, not because of the speed, because Gronk was never really the fastest guy in the league at the tight end position, but the fact that you can trust him most of the times, and he's got those hands. And then a guy for speed, I'm not sure to bring up, but that's a good question. I'm gonna have to go finish this later. So far, great analysis. Thank you so much, Old Man Ghost. Let's see. I forgot. Did Josh Reynolds get traded? He did not get traded, actually. He was scheduled to be a free agent. The Rams didn't re-sign him, and then the Titans signed him. So, yeah, he didn't get traded, but he's not on the LA Rams anymore, which, to be honest, no disrespect to him, I'm not too sad about that because, again, the projection or the production was just really not there with Josh Reynolds, and the Rams wanted him to be completely different, and I think Jacob Harris is going to be doing good wherever they put him in there. Again, I think Van Jefferson takes that wide receiver 3 spot. Jacob Harris could be that number 2 tight end, and I do think that is important to keep in mind as well. The Rams like to do 2 tight end sets a lot, and I think you could see Jacob Harris and Tyler Higbee in there at once too, which could also be scary, and then have a speed guy on the outside. Again, interesting to see how Sean McVay puts this playbook and how it gets all these different people some reps. And then, again, I think Jacob Harris is the type of guy that Stafford likes, where they're going to have to find ways to put him in whenever they can. So, yeah, Reynolds was not traded, but he's off the team now. Let's see. I love all your vids. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love to put the work in for you guys and produce these things because it's just fun to make Rams videos, because you can talk about something that you really love and you don't have to annoy your family about talking about the Rams and different players like this. Like Jacob Harris, again, he's just so exciting to me. Like, I think he's such a guy with such a high ceiling, and he can do so much on this team. It's going to be interesting where the Rams put him, obviously, and how many reps he gets these first couple of years. I think these first couple of years he may not get a ton, but he's going to be in there. And you do have to keep in mind injuries too. Like if Cooper Kupp goes down, or Van Jefferson goes down, or if a couple of receivers go down, obviously that's not going to be a good thing. But we have guys to step in there, and I think putting Jacob Harris in there with his unique skill traits, with the speed, everything like that, I think it's just going to be fun to watch, see where he goes. Yep, he says, you have 36 likes. Yeah, if anybody's in here and hasn't liked the video, please like the video. Trying to get to 50 likes on the stream. Really appreciate the people who do hit that. It just helps pretty much push it out to more people so they can watch the video. So, yeah, 36 likes. Hopefully we can get to 50. Let's see. Do you think Jacob Harris will be better than Tyler Higbee? It's kind of hard to, I guess, say better or worse than Tyler Higbee, because I think if your question is asking who's going to get more reps or anything like that, I think Higbee is going to get more reps, so it's kind of an unfair comparison. And I think they both bring different things. I think Higbee, yeah, he's a good guy to do those checkdowns to, and he's a tough guy for sure. He does have those hands too, and I think you can look to him in the end zone. But I do think it's going to be tough to see, because I think we haven't seen it all from Tyler Higbee yet. It's going to be tough to see who's better, but I do think Jacob Harris has more potential. But Tyler Higbee could shock the world this year because everybody could on this Rams offense with the Stafford upgrade. So great question. I think we just have to see more of Jacob Harris and how the Rams plan to use him. He could be more of a future guy, but at the same time, I think Stafford would like to put him in there too. So again, interesting to see how he fits in this offense. Arthur says completely different non-Rams related question, but you got Logan or Mayweather? It's tough. It's tough to say because they're not going to declare a winner in that unless it's a knockout. I think that Logan Paul's really hyping himself up, and he seems like he actually thinks he can do this. He's been training for a while. Oh, it's a tough one. Let me just go out on a limb. I'm just going to say Logan Paul. Not sure though, because I don't really watch too much boxing, but I do know a lot of the things with Logan Paul training and Mayweather 50-0 stuff like that. So, yeah, who knows who's going to win that? We got him saying we are so loaded out wide receiver. We definitely will be fine without Josh. Oh yeah, for sure. Josh Reynolds again, a guy I think the Rams expected to have a bit of a different role and different production, but it just never really panned out for him. So completely agree. Won't miss. Let's see. Won't miss Reynolds. I think he'll do fine in Tennessee. I think, yeah, I won't miss him either. But I think that Reynolds is going to do about the same, if not a little worse, with the Titans because again, now you got Julio, John Brown, and I think he's going to be in that wide receiver 3 spot, and then Derrick Henry who kind of runs that offense. So I think he's going to have about the same production. Unfortunately for him. Stafford is going to be for the Rams for at least 3 years. Oh yeah, I'm expecting maybe 5 to 6 even. Like, I think the Rams are that high on him. I'm that high on him for sure. And you see quarterbacks playing into their 40s and up. So, yeah, I'd say at least 5 or 6 more, unless he really starts getting injured. They're going to the Rams open practice on Thursday. Unfortunately, not. Like, I would love to go to that Rams open practice for sure, especially because it's free. Like, you can't pass up free. But I live here in Colorado, not Los Angeles, unfortunately. So I would have to fly there to watch it. And then that kind of is like the expense of paying at a stadium from Colorado. So it's kind of expensive to fly out there. I would love to go there, but yeah, are you going to be going there to the open practice? Because if you are, let me know what you see, what you notice, because I'm definitely one of those guys who likes to absorb as much as I can of Ram stuff whenever I can. And that open practice is very, very tempting to go to. But yeah, I'm not heading there. But yeah, we're going to be wrapping up the stream here pretty soon. But again, if you guys haven't liked that or hit that like button, please make sure to do that because, again, trying to get to 50. I'm in StreamYards right now, so it doesn't tell me how many likes it's at. So I'm not sure if you guys could tell me how many we're at. But try to get 50 likes. Again, kind of wrapping up points here. I think Jacob Harris is going to be one of those guys who he has the speed. He obviously has those traits to be able to go up and get it. And he's a good deep post route runner. I did notice that Jacob Harris was good at running those post routes. I definitely did notice that. And I think that he's one of those guys who Stafford will like. He will definitely like seeing a guy who can go up and get it. Stafford will trust a lot of the receivers, but he'll go up and get it. He also has that speed. We'll see a lot of deep concepts. It's just going to be about how much the Rams plan to attack and use him in the first 2 years. Because I think we're going to really know who Jacob Harris is when he is in around the 3rd year. Because I think that's when the Rams will really start implementing him more because there's just so much talent, so much depth. But since McVay is raving about him, I think that Jacob Harris is going to be one of those guys who is definitely going to blow up people's minds. And with Stafford, I mean, that's just going to be a dynamic duo. And again, question for you guys in the chat here. This is one that I always go back and forth on, completely unrelated to Jacob Harris. Who do you think will get more connections with Stafford or have a better connection, more catches, whatever you want to phrase it? Do you think it'll be Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp? And give me a reason, or if you want to just say Woods or Kupp, you can do that as well. Something I'm always thinking about, just random question there. I want to know what you think. Cam Akers is going to put up more numbers this season. Oh, yeah, for sure. I think he's going to show off a lot more of his skill traits. He's going to develop a lot more from what he did last year, because last year he was not the number one back for the whole year. So it's going to be important for him to be the number one back for most of the season too, and he's going to be scary in this offense. Like, he's going to help this too. Is it just Is it just me that when Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald just bulldoze the player? Yeah, it's fun to watch that. I think Harris has a lot of potential. Hopefully, he makes big plays for us down, plays for us down the season as he progresses. Oh yeah, and again, he's not going to be a guy who's completely just not in the system or not in the playbook. McVay's going to draw plays for similar to what the Saints do when they had Drew Brees. He's McVay likes to draw up plays for players, and I think Jacob Harris is a guy he likes a lot. But again, he liked Van Jefferson a lot last year, was raving about him, still is raving about him. And Jefferson did not get a lot of snaps last year. This year, we're going to get to know him well. I think that Jacob Harris is going to be one of those guys that Stafford wants. And if Stafford really, really likes him in practice when they get to those pads on him, and McVay notices that Stafford is targeting him more, like I think he will, I think that the Rams are going to put him in more and going to give him more production for sure. So, yeah, a lot of upside. Let's see. Okay, you have 43 likes. We got somebody saying Coop to having more connections with Stafford. Another person saying Woods, and then Cooper Cup. Let's see. Probably Robert, but I think the Cup will have more yards since he is better yards after catch. Yeah, they're both really cool and really interesting to watch with the yards after catch. Again, I don't think Jacob Harris really brings that. He's just one of those guys who will definitely catch it and come down for it. I think there's going to be a lot of situations where Stafford throws it up, he catches it, and then he comes down and lands on the field, and they'll tap him down. But yeah, it looks like there's going to be a lot of people think that it's going to be Cooper Cup. But there are some Robert Woods voters here. I still don't really know who is going to have more, but yeah. We got him say here you have 43 likes. Yeah, again, guys, if you haven't liked it, 7 likes away from 50. I'd really appreciate it if you could do that before the stream ends. I'm going to end in about 4 minutes here. So at this point, you guys can just do some rapid fire questions. I'm pretty much done talking about Jacob Harris and what he brings to the table, but you can ask me questions about Jacob Harris if you would really want to. But yeah, if you guys want to just ask some rapid fire questions here, and while I'm waiting for those, I can just talk about what my expectations are for the season. I think this season is going to entail a lot of players who are going to have breakout years, because when you get a guy like Matthew Stafford, that's just going to help. I think our offense is going to be a lot better. Definitely is going to be. It's just the offense is going to look a lot better than last year. It was kind of mediocre last year for plenty of reasons, but I think the Stafford upgrade is not being talked about enough. And I think that this offense and this whole team has an amazing chance of going to a Super Bowl. McVay could be Coach of the Year again, but a lot of the times they give Coach of the Year to the people who are new to the job and do well. But I think Aaron Donald has his chance like every year to go Defensive Player of the Year. I think this team can go a lot further than they've gone. They're going to win at least 2 playoff games, maybe even 3, and I definitely think they can win a Super Bowl. Let's see. I'm going to go eat. Peace. Everybody sub and turn on those notifications and on the like. Thank you so much for stopping in, man. We should trade Jalen Ramsey. Aaron Donald, and Cup. What's the point of trading Jalen Ramsey and Cooper Cup? I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but okay. Do you think team or special teams will be much improved? I do. Oh yeah, definitely going to be improved. Joe DeCamillis, I've been high on him ever since he came to the Rams. I was so excited when they hired him because some of the work that he's done with the other teams like Jacksonville and stuff like that. And now that we've drafted in for the special teams, I think that's going to be really fun to see Jake Funk and Jacob Harris. And even Robert Rochelle could play in those special teams too. But Jacob Harris could have a big role in that. And he's going to have some snaps on the offense for sure. But yeah, special teams is going to be much improved. We are going to see those Johnny Hekker fake punts come back. So yeah, if you're wondering that, or if you wanted that, yeah, fake punts are coming back. I think it's going to be much improved for sure. He said, King Ben says, I miss Pharaoh Cooper. Oh yeah, me too. Pharaoh Cooper was such a fun guy to watch. And I think he had his best years with the Rams at that punt returner, kick returner. Not sure what team he's on now, but I loved when our special teams was at its best with Jeezy, Greg Zuerlein, and then we had pretty much our whole special teams went to the Cowboys, and then you had John Fossil, obviously. Like, that Super Bowl run special teams was really fun to watch. I think that we're going to be up to par with them again this year. And I think a guy like Matt Gay was our savior last year when he came in at that kicker spot, because he is going to be our kicker of the future. I'm really excited about him. And again, I think it's going to be a lot better. Um, Special teams could be the difference to winning games. I think, yeah, for like the kicking extra points and field goals, yeah, but I think Stafford is going to be a huge difference in winning games. And I think a lot of fans are going to realize that. So thank you guys so much for stopping in. Again, if you haven't liked it, please make sure to like it. Trying to get it to 50. Again, thank you so much for stopping in. Please make sure to subscribe to Rams House. Really appreciate it. And tell all your friends who are Rams fans, which may not be a lot, because I don't have that many Rams fans because I'm in Colorado. Who knows where you are? But if you know any Rams fans, recommend this channel, please, because I love making Rams content, talking to you guys about the LA Rams. And again, please smash that like button. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about Jacob Harris. So thank you so much for watching. As always, horns up. God bless, and you guys are the best.